Okay, here I am in my PJs.
Hi, Tess in your PJs.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to Annie today about relationship diversity.
Relationship diversity.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you happy for me to talk to you about that?
Yes, what would you like to tell me?
Okay. So, what's your preferred label? Like, partner, primary, poly. What what do you use as labels in your?
Well, the two of the labels you gave me as examples were from two different constructs. So one of them is what do you call yourself as a part of a relationship, right? So you use the word partner. So I don't tend to go for labels so much myself. Like I don't put a lot of value on them, except for where it's appropriate to communicate them to other people. But other people, I understand, do. So I tend to go along with what they like. And sometimes that feels right and sometimes it doesn't. But it doesn't matter as that much to me. So if someone wants to call me a partner, that's fine. I can call them a partner too. If someone wants to call me a girlfriend, that's fine. I'll be the girlfriend and I will call them a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And quite often that's an easy one to do. But the other label, which coincides with it, is what do I call my relationship style or my structure? So my style would probably be I'm a relationship anarchist.
Yep.
Which means that I don't subscribe to the cultural norms on relationships. So the main one is a monogamous one where your romantic relationship is the highest priority and everybody else comes underneath that. And then you've got one of the polyamorous ones where they have like a hierarchical poly. So you'll have like a primary partner, secondary partner, tertiary partners, and they're your romantic partners, sexual partners, romantic, whatever, and then everybody else, is different than that or comes below that. So as an anarchist, I reject them.
Yeah.
I don't use them. So
You
for
reject
me,
the labels.
I reject the label. I reject the concept, the style, the structure.
Yeah.
So if I'm with someone, I would not consider them to have any hierarchy. So if I'm having a romantic sexual relationship with them and I've got a platonic friendship with somebody else, I don't consider anyone has any higher, what do you call it, like almost like control over the other. So
Yeah.
so I value things differently. I might have a very strong connection with someone I'm not like in love with or having sex with or sleeping with. And someone I have got all that with, I might have a less value connection with. And the thing is, it varies so much because there's so many different factors. But because I object to that, I also object to, I not object, but because I reject that, I also reject the labels that go along with it. So I wouldn't consider someone to be a primary partner. Yes, I value some relationships more than others because I get more value from them than others. And yeah, so I hope that explains my labels around my relationships.
Yeah. So there's a term that gets bandied around occasionally, and it's kitchen table policy. Like, what's your understanding of that and your views on?
Kitchen table poly.
Yeah.
Well, that's a new term, relatively new term to me. And my understanding of it is that everybody that's in that's connected through a polyamorous relationships. So I might have someone I'm in an intimate relationship with who might be in an intimate relationship with somebody else, and who might be in one with somebody else, and lots of different connections. But it's where, for example, someone I'm in a close relationship with who's having a close relationship with somebody else, that we would be close enough between us and get on well enough that we could sit around the kitchen table and have a cup of tea, have something to eat, drink, and be able to get on almost like a family, I guess. You know, like a family sit around the kitchen table. That would be my understanding of that, and I love that idea
Yep.
because
That leads into my next question. That's something you aspire for. That's something
It-
that you.
it is. I'd like to think we all get on, and I understand that sometimes, you know, if you've got one person you're seeing to meet some of your relationship needs, and the needs that they aren't meeting, you're meeting with somebody else. It could be that they're quite different people, and you might have differences. But I would hope that because we're seeing the same person, that we share some values and that we kind of get each other. We have one common thing that's quite special to us, is that person. So we could even talk about them behind their back, except they'd be at the kitchen table too,
Yeah.
and then it's all out in the open and it's all ethical. And I love that. I love that idea. It is something I would aspire to. Yes.
Okay. So this is quite a complex question here, and it's like the foundation philosophy for your preferred relationship style.
Yeah, I would say, it would be the anarchy style, the relationship anarchy style. I have been in polyamorous structures, which have got the hierarchy, and I was kind of fine with that. And it was because I was transitioning from a monogamous relationship into that, and it was recognizing my partner that I had a long-term relationship with. But it's interesting because some of the others I was seeing felt like they were being vetoed. My relationship with them was being managed by somebody else. I couldn't see that for a while, but eventually I did. And when I saw it, I was horrified that that was going on. And I saw it as being very toxic for me and what I value. So I didn't want to be part of that. Also, with monogamous relationships, I've always had close connections with other people. I really value close connections, and I don't like to put a restriction on how close it can get, how romantic it can get, how much love there can be, how much sex there can be, how much body sharing and touch there can be. I'm someone who values freedom, and that kind of doesn't work for me. So those traditional models that we see, they don't work for me. And I've also seen when relationships go south, it's usually tied up with being in some of those kind of structures. And within relationship anarchy, to make it work, you look at the values that are put out there, you know, communication, autonomy. There's a lot of stuff that goes towards meeting our psychological needs, and also being part of a group where we care for others. There's just so much stuff that clicks for me that I have discovered through looking at relationship anarchy, that has been my foundation and my foundation philosophy. And it's a philosophy that does not particularly value like exclusivity in any type of relationship.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you could have a cup of coffee with one person. If you had a cup of coffee with somebody else, would there be an issue with that? Because mine's the same when it comes to matters of the heart or matters of the body and closer touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Which goes back to your labels and So I mean, Annie's brought up some interesting points, and I think we'll put links in the description down below about relationship anarchy and polyamory in general, if you want to sort of explore those things a little bit further. But given that this interview is taking place in bed, that's why I'm in my pajamas. Like
on a bed that's bed looks
yes, right. What better place to conduct an interview? But sexuality, so where do you place yourself on that spectrum?
Okay, sexuality is quite broad, but often gets used to describe who you're attracted to. So, like a sexual orientation. And I wrestle with that a little bit, not too much, but if I really wanted to have a label, I wasn't sure whether I'm bisexual or pansexual.
Yeah.
Because bisexual, the way it seems to be used these days, is you're attracted to someone of your own gender and someone of, and those of other genders as well. So that's the bi, self and other. And pansexual is like kind of everybody, you know,
Yeah.
hearts first, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean everybody. I mean gender is not a factor in who you're attracted to.
Yeah.
So if I look, so the way I just described it, they almost mean the same thing. Attracted to my own gender and others.
Yeah.
I used to think that my attraction to different genders wasn't equal. So I was attracted to more masculine men and I'm attracted to more feminine women, but then I found I was most attracted to more androgynous cis women. So I had some preferences amongst them. But what I've kind of discovered recently is that it's more about a woman can open up more emotionally and is easier to connect with. A man usually doesn't open up as well as what a woman does. Some do, I admit that. A more androgynous woman can also open up beyond the cultural norms, and she can express bits of herself that would not be normally limited by her gender identity. So to me, she's normally more authentic, and I'm attracted to people who are authentic. So I think it's not that I'm attracted to some genders more than another, in other words, bisexual. I think it's more the traits, and therefore I could say I'm probably more pansexual. But I will use the term bisexual because more people understand that term than understand pansexual.
Yeah. So you're not sort of really saying that sexuality is a binary system. It's more of the spectrum and
Yes.
and yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know the word bisexual, it's got bi in it, makes it sound like this gender or that gender.
Yeah.
But that's why I like the one where it's, your own gender or other genders. Because mine's very, very, very diverse in the type of people I'm attracted to.
Yeah. So how do you cope with jealousy and in poly relationships? And then on that line, compersion. Like, have you encountered it? Like, how do you deal with it? Like, is it even an issue? Like, with people you encounter?
I thought I felt jealousy in the past, and I think I have. It's when I was less aware of myself. If I look back, I think what I really experienced was hurt because I'd been betrayed. And it's usually because of betrayal that I'm hurt. It's not because I've seen somebody else, because I'm actually fine with people seeing somebody else, but it's usually when they do it in a way that's betrayed their agreements with me or the relationship that we've built up. So I usually feel pretty secure with myself when it comes to relationships, so that's never really been threatened.
Yep.
And in fact, I feel more secure if I have someone I'm seeing that's off seeing somebody else and then comes back to me. I feel more secure than if they're staying with me and I'm constantly at risk that if they see somebody else, I will lose them to that other person.
Yeah.
The fact that they are seeing whoever they want and they're continuously choosing me actually makes me feel a little bit more secure in the relationship. And I think I've got a reasonably good level of emotional empathy. So when someone I care about is off seeing someone else, being intimate, buzzing on it, I'm like buzzing on it for them. It feels really nice. feel a little bit concerned if it's someone who I'm not sure they are secure in their own relationship style, that I could lose them. But that's, I think, more of a practical thing. But if I know that's good, compersion, which to me is getting excited, like for their excitement and their positive, it's like a positive empathy thing. Yeah, I feel that strongly, and I think that counteracts any feelings of jealousy I might have.
So, I want to explore this a little bit more. So you're certainly identifying a poly. So, have you had encounters with people that are not necessarily poly, like monogamous, or exploring their poly side? Like, have you had issues with partners that don't know how to deal with the jealousy type arrangement? Where they're still exploring it and they're struggling with it. Have you ever experienced that? Or
on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Probably too much to fit in a squeeze into this little thing, but just a couple. I was in a relationship with someone who was a bit younger, had a relationship experience, and who was still experiencing and exploring her sexuality and where she fitted in. And we had a third person we both were getting closer to, and that would have been exploring her sexuality and exploring her openness to different relationship dynamics. And I loved her dearly, and I was committed to her. And as we were exploring it, she gave it a good shot. And she discovered after a while that it wasn't for her, that she was heterosexual, that she was monogamous, and I respected that, and we both respected the third person, and she understood that it was almost a bit of an experiment as well, and we maintained the friendship, and it was closer afterwards, even though we didn't go into a full triad type relationship, and that was totally respected. More recently, I had someone who had jealousy to a level that was really, really hurting her. Like, it was pathological, and I think that may have been due to some childhood stuff or some like personality disorder thing that was behind that, because the level of jealousy was just so extreme, even though she was open to the concept, because she was seeing someone else herself, but she couldn't handle me seeing somebody else.
Yeah.
But then it got down to being a bit gender specific. I was okay seeing some guys if it didn't get too deep, but not so much seeing women because she was a woman. And the jealousy was so much that it really hurt her.
Yeah.
And it was one factor that made the relationship very difficult.
Okay. So ultimately, I mean, does that change? What am I trying to say? Do you avoid relationships with people that don't have poly experience?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all. You still like to explore that and connect with the person and then work through issues if you can.
I think it depends on how attached they are to the norms.
Yeah.
If a person is open-minded, because I think that we come innately with two types of relationship strategies, and one is the more open, ethical, non-monogamous way, and one is the more monogamous way. And some people will be more inclined to one way and more the other way. But I think as human beings, we are open to both. And our culture kind of can affect people as well, our society. So if someone's very affected by society, maybe their religion, their own beliefs, their own experiences, and they're locked into that, they probably wouldn't be a good match for me.
Yeah.
But if somebody was more used to not conforming to all the boxes in society, and they were more open-minded about exploring and discovering themselves, I would consider them as someone who would be open to looking at a different relationship style and exploring it, because in my belief, it's a more healthy relationship style when you have full autonomy and you are choosing, and your values, your shared values, are high, caring for each other and high communication. I think those get around a lot of things, and you can form greater connections, more intimacy. A lot of people think that, if you're seeing multiple people, your level of intimacy kind of has to be shared. Not my experience at all. It's actually quite overwhelming when you have close feelings for a lot of people.
Another friend of mine who is poly made a beautiful analogy. It's not like you're sharing a slice of the one pie. You're actually allowed multiple pies.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. Whoa, this is awesome.
So, okay, so just leading into my last question, advice to others. People that are sort of just not sure where they sit on this thing, on this spectrum, or how they feel about it, or like what advice do you have?
I would say it's worth exploring, and it's you owe it to yourself. We are modelled by society, and if you look at where our societal norms come from, they haven't all come from a good place, and they haven't all been constructed for your own individual good. I think become aware, read books, explore the idea. If you are connecting with someone, be honest about your feelings with them, especially if they're introducing you to the lifestyle, and just consider that you can. If you've got 2 children, 3 children, you can love them. You can love each of them. So why can't it be outside your children as well? I mean, just because you're having sex with somebody or you've got a romantic label on it, why does that need to be exclusive? Start to examine some of the norms that you've been given, some of the information you've been given. And there are some great books out there. Bit of Googling. I think Tess was going to put some links up as well.
Yeah. Down below.
Become aware of your own feelings around things and explore those too. If you get jealous, where is that coming from? Why are you jealous? What are your actual fears? Just imagine a world where everybody was really open and there was no fear of loss or abandonment. If everyone was really honest, there'd be no cheating for starters. No one could cheat on you. And you could have multiple people that you're close to. You could imagine the amount of support you could have. There's just so many advantages. They just don't fit into our cultural boxes. So don't accept those boxes without questioning them. That would be my advice.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I hope this video helped. And yeah, there'll be some links in the description below. So if you want to expand your own mind and explore, some of the things we've talked about, please click on the links. So this is really it for today's interview. I hope to do some more in-bed interviews. It's sort of, I know.
In-bed interviews.
In-bed
Sounds really like we got a new line coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tess.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.